Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Monday's Wealth Creation Show. And today we are going to be looking at Neuro Linguistic, put my teeth in, programming.
Or I do that as well.
NLP.
NLP, that's what everybody calls it. Neuro Linguistic Programming. Yeah, definitely. So this is born out of, you know, the Maximum Impact seminar I went to, or the weekend I went to in Paris, years, 2010 thereabouts or whenever. And it was Rich Dad, but this is Joseph McClendon. You know, remember Joseph McClendon III? It was sidekick to Tony Robbins.
Ah, right, okay. I knew
Joseph.
The name. Yeah.
He was jumping all over the place all the time and hyper and stuff like that. Yeah, well, Joseph McClendon III, you could easily look him up. He's still going about, he's still doing his own thing, and he still works closely with Tony Robbins and various other organisations. So, for anybody that doesn't know what neuro-linguistic programming is, it's a set of techniques used to understand and change human behaviour.
Okay.
See that? And thinking patterns as well. It focuses on the link between our neural processes, neurological processes, language, and also the way we behave. Some core NLP techniques include, and we could talk about them in general. You know, I'll go through some of the core techniques and we'll talk about what they are individually. Is anchoring, rapport building, reframing, pacing, mirroring. There's some techniques, future pacing, swish pattern, meta model, that'll be interesting, Milton model. So there's all the visual disassociation as well. That's actually quite a good one. Submodalities, goal settings, imagery training, active listening, affirmations, and representational systems. Quite a lot there, isn't there?
Yeah, what I find interesting as well, you say about obviously vision and things there. And when I had to go and look this up when we said, like, this is what we're going to talk about, I had to go and look and see what, and the neuro part of it, and it's how people, you know, process information and things from the outside world through their senses. You know, you've got the 5 different senses, and how different people will react to different situations and process them.
So just so everybody understands what NLP is, because I did say it could be interpreted as a way of manipulating someone. It's not. NLP is ultimately used for you to work on yourself. That's how people use it. And because what happens is when you can do all these different things, you'll end up, it's the old adage about garbage in, garbage out. Your brain's like a computer. So whatever you put in it is going to come out in some shape or form and interpret it in its own way based on your beliefs and patterns of behaviour. So see how that starts to link in when I said beliefs, patterns of behaviour and stuff like that as well. So some of the things I actually learned, and we'll go over these core techniques in a minute, but some of the things I learned on this course was always look where you want to go. That's important. It's the classic example about goalposts in a game of football. Or the try where you get rugby as well. Imagine if you took these away, how would you be able to keep the score?
Yeah, and I think that's a really important one, and for personal experience as well. You get so wrapped up in the things you do for day to day, you actually lose track of where you're actually meant to be going.
Yeah. Remember he told the story about his mother in the car, and they were going down the highway in the car, and he was in the passenger seat. And they got a burst tire or something like that, and his mother veered off the highway and started to go, we're going to hit that telegraph pole, we're going to hit that telegraph pole. And he was like, wait a minute, telegraph poles are 22 meters with nothing in between them. They're set out at 22 meters. So how on earth have we got a car which is about 2 meters at most? But how on earth have we got a car that's 2 meters wide at most? Going to hit a telegraph pole if there's 22 meters in between every single one. And it's because of that exact saying, always look where you want to go. And what happened was his mother got so fixated on the fact that we're going to hit that telegraph pole, we're going to hit that telegraph pole, we're going to hit that telegraph pole. He had to actually, remember, if you remember this, he made the joke and says, I had to biff my mum in the chops when she was driving, or we would hit the telegraph pole to get it out of her head and stop that so she could swerve. Because this is what happens. I distinctly remember this when I was at Fort William, when we were in Fort William, when I was a wee boy, and I remember our dad was helping us over the river. And I distinctly remember we got across easily. But I remember my brother, my oldest brother, saying to me, I'm going to fall in, I'm going to fall in, I'm going to fall in. Guess what happened?
You fell in.
He fell in.
It's the whole thing about you're so fixated on something and you actually manifest it happening.
Yeah, and that's it. So wherever you look with your eyes open or closed is how you will feel and what your body will do overall towards that. So always remember and keep focused. This is why we talk about goal setting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And this is why understanding where you're going and what you're going to achieve, and then when you're on the journey, if you've got that in mind all the time, then that's when you've programmed yourself. See the program, Neuro Linguistic Programming? That's when you programmed yourself to say, well, that's where I'm going, and I understand the journey is going to differ in between, but it's just the journey.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental point. This is why I talk about anybody could be a millionaire.
You just need to apply yourself.
Yeah, and I'll say that again. Anybody could be a millionaire with working a normal day job. You've just got to start early enough in order to compound the wealth over a longer period of time in order to be that millionaire at that point in time. Mm-hmm. That's how anybody could be a millionaire, even if you're in a minimum wage job. You've got to make sacrifices to do it.
Yeah.
But most people don't actually physically, here it is, believe that they could be a millionaire. So lo and behold, they're not.
Yeah, that's a big holdback for a lot of people, is the self-belief thing, their belief in what they're able to achieve.
And this is why you've got to then have the belief and the emotion that comes behind it. So this is what another thing is about, neuro-linguistic programming. It's about, as soon as you have the emotion, it locks you into whatever's going to happen. So whatever emotion's going on in you at that point in time when you're doing something, that is ultimately what's your whole mindset, your body, and everything you're saying will actually work towards that. If it's whether it's positive or negative, I'm going to fall in the water. I'm going to fall in the water. Mm-hmm. Okay, he fell in the water. And yet, we all passed it. We all stepped over the stepping stones easily, but he was just convinced that he was going to. And it's because he became more careful. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to fall in the water. So he started shaking and all careful. And I was like, yeah, slip, you're in the water. So it's a really good analogy about what's going on, so you need to break these negative patterns, and this is some of the things that we're going to talk about and help the tips that we're going to do and help you with. So whenever you feel pain, that is an action signal to look at where you want to go. Whenever you feel pain, it's an action signal to look at where you want to go. So if you feel pain, you need to focus on the journey, on the end destination. You need to focus on that, not the journey that's happening in between. Remember what I just said to you about that thing. It's like, I mean, have you ever had that circumstance that you could think of yourself?
Yeah, I suppose, like about convincing yourself that something's going to go one way and instead of the other. Yeah, and it is like, you see, when you're thinking like the crossing the river thing. I mean, I can't think of an example in my own life, but I imagine there'll be a lot on the spot. But the river thing, whereas if you were at the side of the river and thought, I'm going to clear this, I'm going to do it, you'll automatically give yourself the confidence, and you'll probably succeed. And it's flipping those negative thoughts on their head.
So here's a client of Tony Robbins, Forrest Whitaker. Remember Forrest Whitaker? Played in the King of Scotland, where he played Idi Amin, and he was like in the film and absolute nutter. He played The Colour Purple. He was in that as well. He's in loads of films. Forrest Whitaker, absolutely fantastic actor. But it took Forrest Whitaker coaching for 7 years to actually win an Oscar. He had to get coached to win an Oscar. And you know why he had to get coached? He was 40 years old in films, and yet he thought he wasn't that successful. when he was in film.
Out, yeah.
He didn't actually see himself as that person it could potentially win an Oscar. He just knew he wanted to win an Oscar, but he didn't see himself as that. It's the programming. He didn't see himself. He didn't feel like that. This is Matthew McConaughey, isn't it?
Yeah.
I want to know what I'm going to be like in 10 years' time. It's like, who do I look up to? What do I want to be in? Well, I just look at me in 10 years' time and think, what type of person do I want to be? Yeah. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to aspire to be? It's like, okay, so I have to go to work now on being that person. And all because he had that vision in the future. See the neuro linguistic programming, the end result, getting focused on that, and then realizing what you had to do in between.
I think getting that realization of what you need to do in between to get to there, maybe some people find that a challenge in itself, to actually then identify, right, look, this is where I want, but this is what I need to do to get there.
Yeah, this is a really good phrase, which I think a lot of people should write down and begin to understand it and think about it for quite a while. As I seek, so shall it find me. Not as I seek, so shall I find. It's as I seek, so shall it find me. Yeah. Forrest Whitaker changed himself by who he believed he really is. So you start to believe you're that type of person. You start to believe that person is capable of being the person you change to. That's what it's different. That's why, years and years ago, I used to say to everybody, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire, I'm going to be a millionaire. And some people went, everybody says that, Jim. And it's like, no, I will be. I definitely will be. And I know that. And I know what it's going to be like. And I never realized it was just like everything else. It's just, everyday life.
I'll take
It's no fast cars. It's no fast cars. It's no loose women. It's no anything like that. It's nothing like that at all. It's just the same as you are right now.
But the ability to do different things.
Yeah, that's it. You've just got the ability to have. You've got the probably the means to do something if you wanted to do it. If you really, if you really want to do it. If you want to do it, it's like we're on the Spice Girls now.
And to play like devil's advocate here, like obviously I know there'll be people probably watching and think, do you know, this self-belief and having these beliefs and having manifest in this life or your goals and things, people might think that's just pie in the sky stuff, but there's a lot of successful people, yourself included, Jim, that are evidence to the contrary, that these things, this does work, this belief system and knowing that this is where you're going to be, it does work. It's not just pie in the sky, like, oh, I'm going to manifest myself into a millionaire.
Of course it works. Think about the logic of this. We're all born from an early age, 0.
Yeah.
We acquire our habits. We've all got, majority of people, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them in that proportion, and all the rest of it. So that we're all born like that. So everything else is acquired as a result of what we learn and also what we believe about ourselves. This is so key here, what I'm about to say. This is a real pivotal moment for a lot of people. You are who you believe you are. You are who you believe you are. Think about what you tell yourself every single day in your mind. This is why I pick people up going, oh, it was a nightmare. Whoa, what was a nightmare? It's like, that doesn't sound like a nightmare to me, but the way you've described it, you're actually now making things worse than what it is. And you're telling your brain that, and your body goes into that sort of, I wouldn't say state of shock, but that position or that state. State was the right word. It goes into that state as a result of what you tell it. You can convince yourself. You've got a totally different life if you really want to.
Yeah.
Delusional, but you can do it.
I think it falls in, for me, this kind of that falls into the situation where, do you get people who get this imposter syndrome? Do they're doing something, they're doing a job, and they're in a position, and but they didn't feel like they deserve to be there, and it's probably because they don't believe in themselves properly.
Absolutely. And this is the next bit I'm about to say. And you were talking about imposter syndrome.
All right. Oh, sorry, I didn't know that.
No, this is exactly, you've led right into what I'm about to say, because this phrase applies to that exactly. Take the DVD and change the inside, yet the cover will still stay the same and the inside will be different. This is what we do as humans. The cover's always still the same, isn't it?
The facade,
yeah. But we go about our business every day changing the inner workings of them, and you don't actually see what's going on in that person's mind, and that's what makes a fundamental difference to people overall. That's what. So this is why you see the person that's like they're maybe buff or something like that, and they're absolutely beautiful and everything like that. And the next minute, they're in rehab
because their mindset and their internals are.
Because the cover looks great, but the internals not so great. And that's as a result of how you program yourself, what you think about yourself, how you see yourself in the world, and what you think you are as a person, your beliefs, and also what you've allowed people to tell you are as a person.
And that's a sad thing, and it happens a lot. Like you see, people change the facade, but it doesn't match the inside. And unfortunately, a lot of people sometimes change how they look on the outside because they think it's going to make them feel better, and it doesn't.
That's why it's so important to break the golden rule. And the golden rule is thou shalt not self-promote. And my response to that is absolutely. You self-promote. That is the golden rule. Just break it. Self-promote. You are your own fan. I mean, Elaine Kidd's on there and again, because I look at myself in the mirror and go, yeah. And she goes, you'd marry yourself if you could. I went, yeah, I would.
It's true that only yourself's going to ever be your biggest fan.
Of course. So if you're not your biggest fan, what do you think? This is why imposter syndrome comes in, doesn't it? Because the other people think they're a bigger fan than you are. So that's how you end up with imposter syndrome, because you're thinking, God, they obviously think so much of me. It's like I'm not that type of person. And then that's when you begin to go, you fall apart inside. The cover still stays the same, but people don't realize. And then eventually the cover starts to, get tattered and this is why people fall by the wayside. And the next minute you see them and they've got about 5 stone heavier, and then they've got all acne, and they're just like they're on alcohol and drugs and all the rest of it. It's because they don't believe in themselves more, and they actually feel undervalued. They undervalue themselves. They don't value themselves very much. They don't hold themselves in high self-esteem. They have that imposter syndrome. That's a classic, some of the singers that get on the stage and X Factor and, Britain's Got Talent and stuff like that. And they get on stage and Simon Cowell goes, flipping heck, you have got it. And they go, really?
And they don't even realise that. Do you know who's a good example?
I have no idea. It's just me.
Amy Winehouse is a good example of that. She loved what she'd done and things, but I don't think she ever accepted how great she was. And obviously, we know what happened. But
absolutely, that's why she turned to the drugs. She couldn't take the adoration.
Yeah,
she wasn't prepared for it. She didn't understand it. She probably felt really like I'm not that good. It's just me. I mean, I do that quite a lot when people say, "Oh, it's like, well, it's just me."
I'm just doing like you feel like you're just doing what you do, and
it's just, I do what I do, but I recognise I probably do exceptionally well. So these are the sort of things. So promotion inspires and empowers people to do more than they would do normally. Self-promoting, and all the rest of it. It's so important to self-promote, and it's so and it's the key really to a healthy identity. Now, I'm not saying go on to social media and go, look at me, and post thousands of photos about how good you look, because the reality is you're probably posting these photographs of how good you look for other people to get them to reaffirm that you're actually that person. The cover, and an inside, remember.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people continually change their profile photographs to newer versions of them that they think look a lot better, because they feel they have to look better every single time.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean about the self-promotion. We actually spoke about this the other day, and it's not about, like you're saying, jumping on social media and putting it out there. It's more positioning yourself with the right people and the right groups and the right platforms, and that kind of integration of yourself and promoting yourself like that.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting one I've got written down here, and it must have been a Keith Cunningham thing, because he started next, was you can't polish a turd, just flush it down the toilet. It's a good one, eh? That's a really good one. So neuro linguistic programming, let's come back to that and let's define it. And as I said, human behavior, language, the way we're doing anchoring and stuff like that. So these are some of the things that you can do in neuro linguistic programming. Anchoring.
Okay.
Now, let me explain anchoring. It's creating a link between specific, a specific stimulus, a physical action, a word that sets you off, your favorite song, your jam, the one that's an anchor. Remember, and it creates that link between that, the specific stimulus, and the desired emotional or mental state. And this allows you to access and recreate that state by reintroducing that stimulus, the anchor. Now, let me give you the prime example of that. Bill Clinton. We all know Bill Clinton was the president of America at some point in time. How does Bill Clinton start a speech to get himself fired up? He immediately goes in the mirror, looks at himself in the mirror, and he goes, "Showtime," in the mirror. And that immediately gives him a buzz to his brain and releases endorphins, which get him match fit to walk on stage and do his speech and actually elevate the room as a result. You can do that quite easily. Find your favorite tune, the one that just gives you that buzz, and it's like, I've got to get up on the dance floor. That is an anchor. Because you've associated that tune with a happy memory, and you've got a great memory from before. And that was just the thing that gives you that buzz every single time. That is an anchor. You can create an anchor for yourself, remember, by anything that you do. So when you get, this is the classic example as well, as a lot of people used to say, God, if I had what you had and you could bottle it, you could sell that for millions. And it's like, yeah, you can bottle it. It's called an anchor. You can teach people to do it. And it is literally just elevating yourself, elevating yourself, elevating yourself, elevating yourself to that heightened state, and then lock it in. Well,
and stay at that level.
See the move, that move, or you could do it and you can go and lock it in with that and do showtime. You could, whatever it is, and you can continually do that. And that move could be unique to you. So only when you do that move, it releases all these endorphins, which remind you of that elevated state that you have.
Because your mind associates it with feeling in that way.
Absolutely.
We caught off stage. We caught Phil Spencer doing that just before he come on stage one year. I don't know what exactly he was doing, but you could see he was prepping himself to come on, and then it was like, right, showtime basically.
Tony Robbins bounces about in a trampoline before it goes on. You see it in his documentaries and his films. Yeah, bounce about in a wee trampoline master thing. And for yourself, he bounces about in it and gets hyped up, and then he walks on stage and he gives it all, because he's elevated his state. He's elevated his energy
into the room. Yeah.
Here's a negative anchor. See how that? Yeah, dropped shoulders, dropped mouth. Just immediately your body goes into a state. See how that happens? So it's a habitual anchor that you've got over time about how you do it. And most people have that. See, whereas sitting up, here's another anchor. When you sit up straight. And you
made me want to sit up now.
Yeah, there you go. See, sit up straight, because you can hear the classroom teacher, can't you? And when you sit up straight, what came next? And pay attention.
Yeah.
And I'll guarantee you, when I said sit up straight to myself, I immediately heightened my state and I actually started to pay attention. And you notice how I started to talk faster there.
You're changing your vocals, yeah.
Yeah. And it was nothing to do with it was everything to do with the state and the anchor it had actually done. So you can do that. So when you're slumped in your seat and you're like, oh, just do that. Just sit
Yeah.
up straight. And immediately, here's another anchor.
Like, because people do that at like gigs and yeah.
Celebrating every single time. Here's another anchor. You know, when you do that sort of, when you see at the church, when people put their hand
Yeah.
out and it's like, oh my God, it's like, and it's like the euphoria that comes through them. That is because this is a sign of celebration. The
Yeah.
human condition is realized that this is all about celebrating. So it gives people a buzz when they do it. So you could literally do that in the mirror. You didn't do it at a funeral. It's like, but you could literally do that anywhere, and immediately you'll get yourself a boost just by doing that.
Yeah.
That's
Do you know
another anchor. Wake yourself up.
A good example of like anchors, I think, is the music thing, and you see it in films quite a lot. Like you see like the upbeat, like the Rocky theme, do you know? And he's doing like, but then also on the flip side, do you know, when people are sad and it's like, oh, they put on a sad song and they'll sit, do you know, and it completely changes it. And changes yeah.
They know how to do that. Yeah, definitely. So that's one of the core techniques of neuro linguistic programming.
Okay.
The next one is actually rapport building. So rapport building is building a connection with another person by matching or mirroring their behavior, tone, and language. This creates a sense of trust and empathy. A lot of salespeople use it, but you've got to be pretty skilled at it. And also, if you're the person, someone's really good at doing it and mirroring, you'll actually change to their behavior.
So let me see if I get this right. So this, I mean, you're not saying these people find your mentor and go out and absolutely copy them. I think for me, this mirroring thing, if I go out to appointments and meet people, and I meet people from all different walks of lives and different, ends of the scale, and it's like it's being able to bring yourself into their level and communicate with them,
yeah,
and the way that they feel comfortable, because you meet so many different.
Here's a classic example: when people swear.
Yeah.
You tend to find yourself swearing as well.
Yeah.
And yet you normally don't do things like that because you mirror. You become when you're going into a presentation and the guy in front of you, you're doing the pitch to, goes, this is absolutely fantastic. This is brilliant. I'm really looking forward to this. How do you think you should do your presentation?
With your arms up, yeah.
Yeah. You should be pretty movement. If the person's like folded their arms, it's like, probably keep yourself nice and stable. And it's that sort of rapport. It's that sort of mirroring that you get as a result of it. And it's talking with the same tonality. So if somebody goes, okay, let's hear your pitch and see what you've got to say. Then your pitch is probably going to be a bit upbeat. Yeah, that's fine. But if they start to talk about that all the time, you kind of have to come back to their sort of level, rather than being someone absolutely hyper. I mean, I remember I got interviewed years and years ago by this person for accountancy services or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It's the middle of nowhere. And after the interview, you know how I'm a bit hyper now and again. The boy went, yeah, okay, I'll get back to the recruitment agency, but one of the things I would probably recommend you do is maybe just tone it down a bit.
Dial it down a bit.
Yeah, dial it down a bit and don't be as hyper. And I'm like, I felt a bit offended actually. It's like,
I would as well. I think that would be a trait I would look for in somebody. But
yeah, but he wasn't that type of person, you see. So I didn't mirror him. So lo and behold, that's why I never worked with him. Because he didn't want me because I wasn't like him. So people tend to like the people they like. It's the reason why you'll know in the stages of business, rapport, it's all about the mirror. It's like, they're just like me.
Yeah.
So that's why they'll use them.
Yeah, they get me, they understand me. And
aye. That's why people go, it's like, how on earth would they go to them? They're so dishonest. It's like, okay, that's probably because they're dishonest as well. But you just don't know it because they're exactly aligned. That's the sort of thing. How do they go to them? Because this guy's whiter than white. It's like, that's because they're probably whiter than white.
Yeah.
It's like that's their belief patterns as well. So people resonate to other people. It's like, for example, if I went on here and I says, oh, I think people that buy Lamborghinis are absolute idiots. There you go. I've just alienated every single person that buys a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
And if I said, I think people that buy Ferraris are absolutely fantastic, I've just built rapport with everybody that's got a Ferrari.
Everybody that's got a Ferrari's on your side.
Yeah, so that's the simplistic way of looking at it like that, in terms of rapport building and mirroring as well at the same time. So that's so it's anchoring. We've got rapport building. We've got reframing.
Okay.
So what do you think reframing will be? What do you think that'll, what do you think reframing is?
But I think it's reframing as something for a person to do. I think it's when you're in a certain situation and it's maybe the outlook is of a certain, maybe a negative way or a positive way. It's changing it to the different option. If it's a negative situation, it's changing it into something positive.
Yeah, nailed it. Nailed it, definitely. It's definitely. So how a reframe for me is everything that's happened in my past that everybody perceive as negative has actually led me to here right now. So as far as I'm concerned, it's actually quite a positive.
Glad that happened, James.
Yeah. For, all the things that have happened, I'm exactly where I want to be. Woohoo!
You hear that a lot, and people say, "Oh, if you could go back in time, what would you change?" But then, if you're in a position in your life where you want to be and you're happy or content, should I say, then why would you change anything that's went wrong or right in the past if it's got you to where you are?
I don't think a lot of people actually think I don't think a lot of people, when they're asked that question, do the butterfly effect thing. They don't actually think about what the consequences of them changing it. Most people go, I would go back and win the lottery. Or I'd go back and tell myself to buy Tesla or Apple shares or something like that. That's the sort of thing. But the knock-on effect is that it's like, if you were then super rich, would you have done what you're doing right now? And would you have met the person that you met because you were somewhere else? And it's like, oh my God, I wouldn't have changed a thing because I'm exactly where I want to be. Whereas people that don't want to be where they are just now would clearly say, well, this is what I would change.
I'm quite a big believer in what's meant for you is it won't go by you, but I'm not in terms of like a fate type thing. I think it's because what's meant for you won't go by you if you make it happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's point of readiness. What you're really talking about, because it won't go by you, because there'll be some point in time where you'll be ready for that opportunity, and it will appear again, more than likely.
And it will fall into place as long as you persevere at what you're doing.
Let's take a biggie, Richard Branson.
Yeah.
2009, 2010, we went to that summit, did we not? Were you there? We were in the room with Richard Branson. I thought,
down in London. It was down at
the great opportunity just to get 5 minutes with Richard and sit down with him and have a chat with him and all the rest of it. And while we got the overall chat in a group setting, it's like, look what I got now.
Yeah.
Going to bike rides with Richard Branson for 2 hours, having a chat all the way around. Yeah, and that's the thing. So I had that in my mind all the time. I had that in my mind from about 18 years old, about 40 years ago. At some point in time, I knew I was going to visit Necker, and I knew I was going to spend some time with Richard Branson, or I hoped that was. But I knew I was going to visit Necker.
It's funny to think back at that. I think it was 2010, 2011. Anyway, but you obviously in that time, I remember being in the same room with Richard and you and I, and at the time I obviously didn't appreciate the position I was standing in. You obviously did. Do you know, if I fast forward now, if I was standing in that room, it would be completely different. I would, because obviously different mindset, different time. I've learned a lot, and I'm a different person than what I was then.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's a fundamental mindset over a period of time when you actually realise it's and you change over time by the surroundings that you're in and what you learn overall. Reframing.
Yeah.
Let me think. Is it when Billy Connolly came on and said, I would vote Conservative? It's like, I used to be a complete socialist, but I realised that I could, not now, But years and years ago, I remember coming on and saying, today I would vote Conservative. And he says the reason for that is because I understand where they are now, because I'm a different person from when I first started out in the shipyards, when I was socialist, because all the people around about me. But I now realise that the policies that they've got are more beneficial for the economy and for everybody else as well as a result. But obviously, you know, that's a totally different thing now. I don't know what his thoughts are now, but that was years and years ago. But I do remember thinking that. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, is that a bit of reframing, possibly, based on beliefs, patterns changing over time? But going back to the reframing, you could change anything in your life if you want to. You could change the way you see things. Ever heard the phrase blessing in disguise?
Yeah.
That's reframing, isn't it?
Yeah, because you're looking at something that's negative, but really, if it didn't harm, then the things that followed wouldn't have harmed. Yeah.
And have you ever had anybody say to you, "You're always optimistic. You always look on the bright side"? It's like, even though you always see the best in everything, and it's like, I get that. I get that from people. It's like I just reframe situations.
You are quite like that, but then that's obviously something you've learned over the years. That, you know,
something I've trained myself to do.
Yeah.
Remember, I've trained myself. It's not. I was a very tortured person when I was a lot younger, as you'll know from school days and stuff like that. As a result of everything I was around and what happened to me and everything in that vicinity.
Yeah.
So it was lucky I met my mentors early. They were able to help me do that and understand what was going on here. So they were the ones that introduced me to NLP and reframing and anchoring and all the rest of it. And the books they endorsed and I read and everything like that, and endorsed that as well. And the podcasts, or what it was, the tapes that we put in our car that we listened to, then they all endorsed that as well, and all helped me reframe that. So over a period of time, by the social conditioning, like the people you're round about. Remember, if the people round about you're completely negative, it's okay. You just listen and read loads of positive. Because that is like being around these people. If you read a book written by an autobiography by that person, you kind of get an insight into how you felt being around them. This is why when people meet someone that they've seen on social media all the time, they almost look, oh, it's almost like I know you.
And but then sometimes say never meet your idols, or but then that's not always true, I think.
Yeah, I've had that with somebody. Yeah, actually, never meet your idol. Not for me personally, but I know a friend who actually adored this musician, this lead singer, and he thought, wow. And then he went out for one night with him on the lash, and he went, well, that is not the person I expected that person to be. He says, geez, it's like, it's just blowing everything. I wish I'd never gone out with the boy. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
No.
It would be madness to do that.
Do you know, that's funny? I thought that's what you were speaking about, but I didn't know.
I never said. I'm speaking about who. No, what are you talking about?
I read between the lines there, but yeah, they do say that, and it's because these people have this facade which doesn't match their actual internal.
Grown up all these years, holding somebody on a pedestal, only to be knocked down. That's the difference. So we were taught about this a lot when we were in network marketing, about how you end up deifying someone to the point where the actual person is just in total awe of this person. So don't do that. You can edify someone, you know, they're a good person, they're knowledgeable, they're an expert in their field, but deifying is almost like godlike. And that's what happens over a period of time to some people. That's why you get all these, you know, these people, stalkers. That's because they do that. That's what they've done in their mind. They've deified this person. They've got them to a point of almost like a god in their mind, about they can do no wrong. They're perfect. They're great. And it's like, oh, don't say anything against them and everything like that. And then when they meet them, it's like, oh, different. But they'll never meet them because they get carried away.
Yeah,
that's why. So it's understanding what reframing is all about. Sorry, we diverged there to something else, but it's changing the perspective or the meaning of a situation to alter the way you feel or think about it. Let me think. Chocolate.
Yeah.
Imagine if you started to say to yourself, every time I eat chocolate, I'll become healthier.
You would eat more.
Yes, you would. And you would actually, your mind would end up reaching for chocolate every single time, just out of habit.
Subconsciously,
That's what you could program reframe a situation. It's like, we all know it's bad for you, but you could say it's good for me. So you go to a shop, you would immediately go, okay, let's put some chocolate in there, thinking it's really healthy, when it's not. And
No.
that's how advertisers do it. They reframe things. Mint is fresh. No, it's no.
It's just we all associate it with
Yeah,
minty toothpaste and
mint
chewing gum.
actually, mint, I know for this for a fact, mint, actually, the plant, irritates your bladder.
Really, I never knew that.
Yep, irritates your bladder. Mint. But see how everybody's convinced every single time mint is fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Who said? That's only what we believe is fresh.
Through the marketing of,
Yeah, that's
like,
what everybody said.
toothpaste and chewing gum.
Everybody said in the dictionary, basically, fresh mint, fresh air. Air is fresh. No, it's no. When somebody blows one off in the room, it's no fresh, I'll tell you, and it's still air.
Yeah, or if you're in the middle of the city and things, you realise air is not always.
So it's how we've all reframed certain situations. So everybody has different beliefs and different things, but you can take a negative situation and reframe it to a positive situation just by looking at it in a different light. Pacing is another one, actually, in neuro-linguistic programming. And what I mean by that is the gradual leading someone to a desired outcome by matching their pace and language. This comes back to the bit.
An interesting one. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can lead them down that path if that's how they're speaking. So if somebody says to you, I want you to know, Jim, this is how I feel about this, then you respond back saying, I really appreciate how you feel. I felt exactly the same way. And they'll go, flipping it, they're just like me.
Yeah. Then it brings you back to mirroring as well. Yeah. Pacing.
Yeah, it's all encompassing, definitely. Yeah. And that's where we came onto the mirroring I was going to talk about. It's like it's subtly imitating someone else's body language or their gestures or their vocal patterns, if that's how they speak, to build a rapport and a connection with that person.
Even it's like your stance. If you're standing speaking to someone and they stand a certain way, you sometimes find yourself
mirror them.
Mirroring them. Yeah, standing the same way.
Don't not mirror them, because then you're out of alignment with them, and therefore there's something subtly that they don't know is happening. It's like, but they're putting themselves off you unconsciously without them even knowing. It's a human trait, that's all. It's just that typical thing of a mirroring. So and watch out for that with people that are salespeople, and watch out for it for potentially as well people that are looking to manipulate the situation.
Yeah.
These are all things, believe it or not, I know about all these things, but I never used them. And for me personally, it's just about I am who I am, and I'll attract the right people towards me based on who I am and my beliefs. And all I need to do is get people to understand who I am and my beliefs and all the rest of it. And the right people will gravitate towards me as a result of what I do. I'm not looking for everyone. You'll never please everyone all the time.
That's kind of like you're saying, if you demonstrate who you are and your beliefs and things, it's like, as you seek, so shall it find me, like you said.
Yeah.
So these people will gravitate towards you, the people that align with you, because you're putting it out there, who you are and what you stand for and things. So then the right people will then generally gravitate towards you.
Look at classic examples of mirroring and pacing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Groups of girls and groups of guys. It's like they go out on a night out. They go out and, you tend to find the ones that bond with each other. They find the ones that are very similar. The ones that drink like a fish all congregate together. The ones that don't drink all congregate together. The ones that are loud tend to congregate together. The ones that are not loud, quiet and reserved, they sit in the corner, and everybody goes, "What's with the cliques?" And it's like, that's because it's natural. It's a natural thing to do. That's what happens out of the mirror, and people evolve into their own groups, and they go with each other in different groups itself because of that very thing. That's what happens at school. That's unconsciously. I would say subconsciously, but I know subconsciously takes a determination of you actually know what's going on. It's really unconscious because you actually don't know what's going on. It's all just naturally, it's in your human traits and your human behavior, and it's hardwired into you from prehistoric days.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, in the groups, and like they're thinking about like school times things, you're not thinking, oh, I'm going to, because I'm like this person, so I'm going to hang around with them. You just unconsciously, like you say, gravitate to that person because you're similar.
Yeah. The next one I would say is future pacing. So what do I mean by that? Well, visualizing and rehearsing a desired future outcome to increase confidence and motivation. This is why people go over all the time their speeches and the practice. This is why I've got people on the wall. So if I'm ever doing a talk, I actually talk to the people on the wall and I give them eye contact.
You forgot about your audience. Is it still there?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've got a wee chart that actually teaches me if I'm doing foveal or periphery vision.
Right. Okay.
So foveal, straight on, and then I've got periphery. The chart goes differently when you see periphery. Periphery is like it's a chart like, you know, the 3D things, the pictures used to get, and if you go periphery vision, you see the 3D picture.
Oh, you bring them up close and pull them away.
That's the periphery. When you go periphery, you see 3D, so you know that's you're in periphery vision. Periphery means basically what's happening is you're not putting stress on yourself. It's relaxed when you have got a periphery. When you're foveal, which is straight in there, that's a stressful situation. You can only keep that for so long, or you'll start to burn out. That's why when people get to some end of their concerts or end of their talks, when they've done a speech, they're immediately burning out. They've lost all the energy
into that.
Yeah, that's it. And whereas other stars and that go on stage to do talks and everything like that, they've got periphery, so they're not focusing on anybody individually, but they're looking about the room. They're just doing that. They're being very relaxed and doing their talk at the same time, so they come off very relaxed.
It's a lot less energy burning way to do it.
Yeah, it's very intense, focusing on the same thing all the time. Definitely. So that's future pacing, visualizing and rehearsing desired outcomes to increase confidence and motivation. It's like, you know, running it through your mind that this person's going to sign up with me. This person's going to sign up. This person's going to convert. This person's going to want my product. Being that positive mental attitude before you walk in the door and visualizing it as a result.
Yeah, which is, I think, it's not to be mistaken with, well, I suppose it is manifest in a way, but like you say, it's having that positive vision about how things are going to pan out.
Yeah, Swiss pattern technique used to change unwanted behaviors or feelings by, I think it's really creating that kind of mental swish just between the undesired behavior and the desired one. Just like Tony Robbins talks about, you can change your state in a heartbeat. Every single time. You can change the way you feel just by sitting up. You can change the way you feel by smiling. Just by see. Now, tell me you don't feel a change in your state when you've just done that.
You do, yeah.
And it's positive, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
a positive state. And that's why we want to laugh, and that's why laughing's infectious. Yawning. This is another classic.
That's an infectious thing to they say that when you yawn and other people yawn, it's
there you go, I've yawned.
Yeah.
And you could bring that on as well. So these are all and when you yawn, other people yawn. But when you yawn, you immediately the reason that you're yawning is to actually bring more oxygen into your brain. That's why you're yawning, because your brain needs the oxygen. So that tends to be why you're doing it. So that's the sort of thing you can change your unwanted desire and all the rest of it. The meta models are actually quite interesting. A set of questions used to explore and understand the specifics behind vague statements. So helping to clarify communication and uncover underlying beliefs. That's going deep down into psychology, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I'm of that person. When somebody tells me something, I'm like, well, why is that then? What is it in your background or your behaviour or what happened to you? It causes you to do this. I was speaking to someone the day about that. They says they've got a fear of not being able to touch the bottom when they're out swimming.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait a minute, where did you acquire that fear from? Notice it says acquire.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's only two fears you're given when you're born. It's loud noises and it's heights.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And the rest are all acquired. So I says, where did you get that? He says, well, actually, it was when I was younger. Somebody threw me into the pool at school and I almost drowned and I got dragged out and says, I think that's where it stems from.
Oh, it will be, definitely.
So it's something that's happened in the past, and you could use all these different techniques to. Now, the technique I had for that, I mean, I'll be honest, it's like Jaws. Oh my God. Every time I went in the water, open water, I always heard it. Even in a loch, it's like, really? There can't be a shark in a loch. It's
Yeah, I know.
But you still heard the music, and you still always wonder what's below you. See, with diving now, doesn't even come into my mind anymore.
So I guess because you've got a different perspective about what's actually under the water.
No. It's because I love diving.
Right.
The dream and the goal is bigger than the objection.
Right. Okay.
So I'm like, oh, diving. And it's like, folk will say, what if you see a shark? And then I've done research about sharks, and sharks are docile. They actually come up to you, and then you just touch them on the nose, and they go, right, I'm off, and they just disappear. They don't try to go for you. They're no killers. They're just sharks. Sharks. The reason that sharks come towards you if you're in the water is because their eyes are on the side. They can't actually see in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you touch their nose, they go, oh, I better turn around. So they don't actually see you.
Yeah, I think that the shark fear thing is a very media-driven thing because and obviously the Jaws thing and that.
That's and that's, you know, I mean, even there was times that I genuinely, when I was a wee boy, when I watched Jaws, I couldn't actually swim over the grate in the swimming pool because I was that terrified that something would come out of it. That's where that phobia came from at that point in time. See how it's acquired. It's not anything else other than acquired. So it's how do you program that out yourself? Well, you read lots of books and say it's nonsense because sharks don't attack you. And then you just, I want to go diving. It's like, let's go then. And then you just start to forget about it. It doesn't even batter an eyelid. And when I go into the ocean as well, it's like, well, I'm aboard.
And and you've made a really good point, I think, because like you're saying, the objective or the dream or whatever, if you make it big enough, then you'll overcome these things that are holding you back.
And I don't watch too many films that are unrealistic, like Jaws. Yeah, that sort of thing. So you just don't watch all that rubbish anymore. I mean, I used to watch a lot of horror films, just like, and then I realised the psychological problems it was causing me in my dreams and stuff, and it's like, oh my God, I'm just not watching anything ever again. I was like having Wes Craven dreams when I was younger, and because of things like that, it was just stupidity.
I watched the Freddy Krueger's quite young and always wish I never.
Same thing, same thing. I have never ever watched that ever again since seeing it at the pictures. That's it. Any time that ever comes on, it's like I am wide birth straight away.
Yeah, but it's amazing. It demonstrates your mindset and where certain things could trigger you and put you and make your thought process completely different from where we are. And these things that you're talking about, obviously, your ability to change that is there. You just need to know the right way to do that.
Yeah. Here's a classic example about influencing people. It's like they used to go on all the time about the fact advertising on the telly, and folk were going, well, that doesn't, you know, we shouldn't have stopped sponsorship on for, you know, cigarette brands and everything on racing cars and the darts and stuff like that, because advertising doesn't really work. And it's like, it does work. That's why you're paying for it. Or you wouldn't be paying for it. If you believed advertising didn't influence people, then you wouldn't be paying for it, and you wouldn't be on the telly with it. So don't kid yourself and tell us that advertising, advertising doesn't work. It doesn't influence. Of course it does.
It does, yeah.
Everything influences people. This is why it's so important. And we're touching on the woke thing, and the fact that they're starting to cleanse, and every single thing is getting cleansed now. It's like, or reinterpreted how they want it to be believed in the future. And it's like, that's not what happened.
Less offensive. Yeah.
Aye. These people were not in that era. they didn't exist at that time, and they were different. There was a different objective at that time, and you're trying to make that out as if that's that's what happened, and it didn't.
That's funny that you see that, because you see it quite a lot, and it kind of falls into maybe the reframing thing. They're trying to pull all these old, like, or pull them back to all these old shows and things, and trying to reframe them. And it's like, but that's the way it was then. It's not now. You don't need to change it now.
Honestly, they're trying to wash everything. They're trying to cleanse the whole lot, and actually come up with this utopian world that it was before, in order to influence people to say that this is how you should be now.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, well, it will happen over a longer period of time. I'll guarantee you that. I'll tell you what will happen in 50 years' time. Most people will look back and go, "Did we really eat animals?" It's like, what?
Yeah.
Because you won't. And the reason for that is because there's so many animals on this earth. 60% of living beings on this earth or more are animals in order to feed 30% of humans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's not sustainable.
No,
because the more humans that you're producing, there's about 8 billion or 9 billion of us, and in 20 years' time, there's going to be about probably 14 billion, and you'll have to have more animals to actually feed these people. And it's like, this is unsustainable. No. You're going to have to move to, a lab meat or plant-based
I was just going to say, because they're growing meats now and lab, and like you say, in 50 years' time, that'll be completely.
And they're banning it in other countries. Italy banned lab-grown meat, and the only reason they banned it is because it's protectionist for their farming community, for their businesses, and because lab-grown meat could wipe them out, because it could be done on mass scale quite easily and quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas farming takes ages, but it uses a huge amount of resources. So we're going to have to come to the realization that we're going to have to move to plant-based diets. Plant-based is great, because if you stick plants in the ground, guess what? They absorb the oxygen, they produce oxygen. You're talking about cutting down all the trees and the lungs of the world, and it's like you've got the opportunity just to plant all these things in the ground and then and cleanse the air all the time. It's like, why would you not do that? It's like scrubbing. It's like scrubbing brushes for cleaning all the air. And like you put a filter on to clean air before it goes back out to everybody. That's exactly what that is. And it's like you would be doing 2 jobs at once, feeding people and that. And it's the old example, and I spoke to somebody about it today, and it's like, the reason I'm vegan is because it's the crap that's in all the meat and all the rest of it, and ingesting in the fish and everything like that as well. You're getting that at the same time. But how do you survive? It's like, I just eat what the animal eats. It's like, that's all they're doing. They're actually eating it, they're keeping it, and then passing it on to you when you're killing it. It's like, that's all they're doing. It's like, so why would they not just cut the animal out and just eat it direct?
What was it you said? You said a few weeks ago, I quite liked. It's like, well, why do you not drink milk? And it's like, because it's for cows.
Because it's for the cow. That's why it's called cow's milk.
That stuck with me. I just thought that was quite good, because it's true. Really.
Also, there's a lot of hormones that have been injected into the cattle in the first place in order to produce more milk for the baby cows and for humans. And it's like, okay, so if that's producing more, why do you think people might be getting fatter?
The milk and the dairy industry, especially and the States and things, is really bad, the way it's done.
Bleached chickens. It's like, that's not going to affect anybody at all. That's like just sprinkling a wee bit of arsenic on your chicken every day before you eat it. At some point in time in the future, you'll die of that. It's like, it's absolutely crazy, all these different. Anyway, we'll come back to that. We'll come back to there's loads and loads of techniques here. There's the visual disassociation. I mean, there's a classic technique to reduce emotional impact of negative memories by visualizing the event from a detached perspective. I did that when I was younger. Yeah, I did that when I was at Tony Robbins that time. We were there, and I disassociated myself with something that happened in my past, and then brought it back to reprogram it in a different way. Tony Robbins helped me do that, and I think it in a totally different way now.
A life-changing thing, yeah.
Probably this is why a lot of people get to the point where something traumatic happens in their life and maybe lose a child because of murder or something like that, and they can stand there and say, look, I forgive the person. Oh, sorry? It's like, really?
Mental, you think, yeah.
Because they have to get to a point in their life and realise that if they don't, then all they do is destroy themselves.
Ruin their life. Yeah, it's going to ruin their life and hold them back.
But that's how they're doing it. NLP. That's how they're doing all that. So all these different things. Goal setting's probably the one I would definitely say. Goal setting, active listening, affirmations is really good.
Yeah.
Look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, in every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. A couple of times I answered myself back and went, are you really? But you know, there was days that it's like, I used to do that and I was like, I don't feel better at all, but let's give it a go. Because I knew it was at some point in time, it would start to stick, it would start to get traction, and it's better than feeling, you know, no great about yourself. So you may as well just do it and just soldier on with it. So it's these sort of things that will help you overall in neuro linguistic programming. And that's kind of it. There's all these different things. Affirmations is a really good one. Goal setting is a really good one as well. You keep your eyes on the prize, the importance of specific goals, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-based, smart goals.
Yeah, I mean, that for me, and I'm sure everybody watching will agree, that was a really interesting session. And I think it's good to hear, like you say, Jim, you've your own experiences and sharing that. Thanks for that. And obviously how it's relevant to you and how it can be relevant to other people. And all these things like anchoring and rapport building and the reframing and the pacing and future pacing and things. I mean, that really interests me. And I think if you're interested in changing yourself and the way you think or the way you react to things, these are definitely the things to look at. And you could look up Neuro Linguistic Programming online and I'll give you a lot more info, but that was a really good session, Jim. Thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah. I'm reading my notes from the other one.
You're going to add anything at the end there?
Well, about problem solving and that, the next session is like, you know, is it a problem solving? What is it that I'm only, what is it that only I can do? And you want to probably teach that. And if you pick the wrong problem, you won't get the right answer. That's a really good one, eh? You pick the wrong problem, you won't get the right answer. It's like, okay, that's perfectly logical. And all of my problems are born out of good ideas.
Yeah, we spoke about that last time. That was quite a good one, yeah.
And you want to double the size of your business this year, start taking care of your customers you already have. And what would I do to have to do so that customers would say, I would have to be crazy to do business with someone else. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so what could you do if your customers say they would be crazy to do business with somebody else? Yeah.
Every business relies on repeat business and referrals. And it goes on to say the orchard example. Oh, it's quite good stuff here. Might actually talk about that next week. Not really sure how far that goes. Yeah, it does go quite a bit. Yeah, not really sure how to package that up and what to call it next week.
I'll have a wee think, see what we can put together.
Growing a business. That's next week's title. I'm not really sure. Yeah, let's growing a business. Let's go for that. Okay. Next week's title. Let's talk about how to grow a business.
Right. Okay. Well, we will see you all next week, Monday, as usual, at 12:30 for the Wealth Creation Show. Evidently speaking about growing your business, which I'm sure you'll all be interested in. Thanks for sharing all that today, Jim, and everybody for joining in. If you're on the rerun, jump in the comments. And until next week, we will see you then.
Okay. Bye-bye for now.